for inviting me. Hello, Dr. Lens, which probably is this part of my ship. So let's go with the sharing. And I have 15 minutes to show you as much as I can on the lab notebook. So
you have 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes, Nicola.
Okay. So let's talk a bit about eLabFTW, which is something that exists for more than 10 years now, which is widely used in France, Germany, Europe, and the USA. And it's a free and open source lab notebook because we believe in libre software. And you can have a look on eLabFTW.net about the software. There is a live demo also, so you can play with it with the live demo. I want also to mention the fact that the code is accessible on GitHub, but what also I think is very interesting is that it's a community-driven development, meaning that a lot of users are discussing about features and bugs and how they would like to see the things being implemented. And there is also people that developed third-party libraries. You see here the related project for Perl module or LabVIEW client, MATLAB clients. And so I think it's really a strength of the software to be able to rely on a wide variety of users. One main point of the software is that it is agnostic to the software field, to the science field, sorry. Meaning that it is fitting to many different kind of labs. So you can use it if you're doing biology, or you can use it if you're doing material science or physics or chemistry or whatever. So basically how it looks like is like this, but you are free also to change a bit how it looks. There is a lot of customizability on this software. So if you want to have it in German and to have it with a table like this, you can also do it. So I will switch back to English because I'm doing the presentation in English, so it makes more sense. But yeah, you are free to edit like a ton of little things. And basically, on one hand, you have all the experiments. So you have your experiments. You can also choose to show the experiments from other people in your team, because one instance can basically host several teams. And inside teams, you have one or several admins of the team, and then you have users. And another aspect of this software is that you have a database. This database is a kind of a LIMS, is a way for you to store different kind of stuff. And I use the word stuff to be vague because every team will be able to customize the kind of things that they have in this stuff. So every team is free to have, I don't know, so Anophel is a mosquito. You can have cell lines if you're doing cells. You can have a qPCR for machines, because you can put machines, you can put rooms, you can put equipment, you can put whatever you want. That's a major point of the software, that you can customize it. So here, for instance, I have a category called project. And in this category project, I have one which is the IMT-WIN project, which describes a bit the project, who is the partner and everything. Okay. Now, in my experiments, I will create an experiment from a template that I created beforehand, which is the comparative analysis of the additive manufactured samples. And in my template, I simply define a table with the columns that we are expecting to have, that we will fill. So there is like number 1 and number 6, and then you can put the name, and then, so I don't remember what was the values, of course, but yeah, basically you can fill it. And I also define some steps. So this experiment, you can think of it like as the mother or father experiment. I use a gender-neutral terms for the experiment. So the steps here, I put here some things to for me to remember about this experiment. And as you can see, there is already a link with this project. And this is something that I put in my template. And so now, if I look again at my project, so we are now again into the database part, we can see that there is this experiment that I created, which appears into the related experiment. So I'm clicking it again. Let's go in there and let's go with the tensile test. So I need to do a tensile test. Okay, so I will go in my template list. I will click on the tensile test thing. I found that I have my little table with a bunch of columns and I can fill it with my data. So, okay, And also, a bit similar to what Marcus showed, you can define some extra fields. And this extra field, again, you can say, okay, we are expecting a number here, or we are expecting some text, or we are expecting a URL, or we are expecting, we can have like a drop-down menu, you know, with different choices that you can choose from. So here I put something. So for client, laser thickness, laser power. So you see, if I try to type some words, I just cannot. The only letter that I can type is E. So laser pulse duration, laser distance, very big distance. Okay, so this is, I think, if you want to compare with the previous ELN, so Oasis is a schema first ELN, whereas eLab is a free text first ELN, which also allows you to have a more structured way to store the experiments with this extra field that are in fact stored in JSON. You can see them here. They are stored in JSON. And we are working, in fact, with Marcus. I looked at my email and we had discussions previously and with other people in the ELN consortium about a file format to exchange data in between the different ELNs. So this is not the purpose of this talk, so I will focus on eLab for now, but just know that this last point that Marcus mentioned about interoperability between ELNs, we are working on it. Okay, and we are working on it together. So, okay, I have my tensile test and I will link to my experiment with the comparative analysis, And also here I have the project again, which is always present. So I will continue with my pore analysis. So I will create a new template. Again, I have put a column and a table. And here I will add some files also because I forgot to add some files. So let's go with the pore analysis, macro graphs. I will select all the files, upload them. They are being uploaded and they appear here and I can, of course, browse them. Okay. So yeah, a lot of white square, like Marcus said. Yes. So you can add a little comment, of course, to your files. Okay. And let's also, let's draw something. Let's do a little smiley like this. Okay. So just to show you that you have the possibility also to draw some things and to save it as a transparent PNG. There is also a molecule editor where you can create like a reaction or something and save it as an image or save it as a special JSON file. But okay, let's focus on the material science for now. So I have my files. Okay. On my experiment, I will switch it to success and I will put it 5 stars because I know it's incredibly successful experiment. As you can see here, you also have possibilities to define the permissions for the experiment, who can see it, who can write it. You have a tag system also, so you can define some tags that are shared among all the people in your team so that it will allow you to more easily look for experiments that have a particular tag. And I will again link with the comparative analysis experiment. And I will continue with the same experiment. So again, I have a little template, which is basically empty. So you see my template is empty. There is no text in there. There is only the tag MatWerk and the tag SEM. It's not here. And it's empty. But I have some steps in there. So I have the steps: switch on the macroscope, acquire images, copy images into ELN. So let's do that. Let's go into the SEM. So probably you will do like one experiment for sample 6 and one experiment for sample 1. So this is sample 6. Let's make it like this. Sample 6. Okay. And I forgot to link it to my master experiment. Okay, so as you can see now we have our experiment. I showed you a bit the different templates that I use for the experiment. And now if I go like on my main experiment, I can say, okay, so this is done, this is done, this is done. The hardness test is still something I need to do. I can look also into my to-do list, which I brought up by pressing a keyboard shortcut, but you can also, of course, use the menu. And in this to-do list, which is split in two parts, you have the first part on the top, which is about, which is like some free text. You write whatever you want to do. And the second part is actually automatically generated based on the next steps that you need to do. So I can see here that on this experiment, I still have to do the hardness test. And I can see here in this view here all the experiments that are related to that experiment, and also a link to things in my project. And if I go on the same experiment, for instance, I can see that this experiment is linked with this macroscope, SEM Bravo. And this macroscope is just an entry in my database that I put as a category macroscope. And this category is a bit special because it can be booked. So I decided that all the macroscopes could be booked. So I have this little button here, and I can book it. And so as you can see here, I have a slot for now, and I can also bind this booking slot to the experiment. And so now I really have like a good trace of when it was made, on which macroscope, by whom, and all of these aspects. Another interesting aspect that you can have, for instance, is that now I will click here on show related. I will so sorry, it doesn't work like this. So sorry for this little bug. I need to fix it. So I'm showing you the beta version. So that's why. So let's take, for instance, let's go again for the same experiment. We can lock it, unlock it. We can timestamp it. So the timestamping aspect is quite interesting in the context of electronic lab notebooks. So eLab allows you to do RFC 3161 timestamping with different timestamping provider. And when you timestamp an experiment, you will end up with an archive which will contain the timestamp data plus the token. And this archive is immutable. You cannot like modify it or delete it or whatever. Same for different aspects. There is a lot of like tracking the changes and everything going on in the lab. I just want also to show you the possibility to export as a PDF, so you can have the PDF of your files, and also a zip archive. And an interesting new feature is the ELN archive, which is this file format that we decided to implement in different notebooks. And so hopefully one day maybe you will be able to export as an ELN archive and maybe re-import it in Nomad, Pasta, or Kmotion, maybe Lab Folder also, or OpenBIS, and all the information will be there. Information about the metadata, the tags, the authorship, and all of these aspects. Something also I want to show is that again, like the previous ELN, you have an API and you are free to do a lot of stuff through the API, like create an experiment, upload your files directly with the API, and do a lot of automated stuff through the API. So as you can see, if I just click on the create button, I use no template. I just end up with like the default template for the team, which I can completely remove, and I am completely free to have some free text. So this is like the default stuff. It's free. It doesn't stop you from just doing free stuff. But if you want, you can go a bit further and add some extra field and structure a bit more your data so that it becomes easier afterwards to search for it. So for instance, if you want to look at all the experiments where the laser power is 200 gigawatt, you can do so if it is properly defined in the extra field. There is also some other people like in Düsseldorf or in Rostock which are working on other means to parse the data in eLab and to extract more data. So yeah, there are a lot of little projects that exist around eLab. One thing I wanted also to show is the search by tag. So if I click on the MatWerk tag, I will see also all the experiment with the MatWerk tag, and I can also define the MatWerk tag as a favorite tag as a user, and so this gives me kind of folder structure, let's say, for browsing my experiment through the view of a tag. So this is also a cool feature for users, because at the end of the day and then at the end of the decade, you end up with a ton of experiments, of course. So it's very important that you are able to filter them either by status, by date, and this is why you also have a complicated query grammar that allows you to search for different aspects. So if you want one that is logged and timestamp, but also the date is a Tuesday and the rating is 3, you can do this kind of search. Okay, so yeah, this is like a quick overview of the software. Of course, I don't have time to show you all the different aspects that exist in the software for customizability of the status, the category, different kind of export, and the tag manager, and all the stuff that you can do also as a sysadmin with the authentication centralized. And yeah, we can have time later for the questions. But yeah, I hope you have a good idea now of what it looks like. So it's a generic lab notebook, which by its customizability allows you to really do what you want with it and be useful to your field. And I didn't show also, I can show quickly that when you upload files, so because here we did it with the material stuff, but if you upload other kind of files, so for instance, if you upload DNA data, you will have like a plasmid viewer that will pop up. If you upload some molecule data, you can have like 3D molecule view here, or mol file, you will get like the mol file, or PDB file, you will get like the 3D structure of your molecule showing up. So yeah, GCOM files also, you can also see them. No, the GDX file, you can open them into NMRium. So yeah, different fields have different features, and eLab join them all together. I will stop here now because it leaves us a few minutes for quick questions. So yeah, please ask away.
Okay, Nicolas, thank you. Thank you for being in your time scale, but we had a look on our agenda and we saw that we had a little bug in it. We have so the consequence is we have enough time for questions. Maybe yes, 5 minutes more.
Yeah, great.
5 minutes more on each ELN. Yes, we didn't calculate it exactly in advance, but no problem. Sorry, Marcus, I cut you a little bit short, but I saw you already answered some questions in the chat. Thank you for that. So now we have time for some questions to Nicolas. Please ask questions. And Stefan, you manage.
I can do so. I wait for the raising hands, and I wanted to give a first further input. There are questions which we expect, for instance, where is data stored, etc. My proposal is to wait with those questions and put it into the general discussion round, because I think this belongs to each ELN. So if you have a specific question here to this specific ELN, please feel free, and then you can forward the more general one to the general discussion. There's a question in the chat from Steffen Brinkmann, how eLabFTW is installed. It's more general, but feel free to answer it.
Yeah. So it's through Docker containers. So the whole application is containerized, which makes it easy to install and update without having to deal with PHP and dependencies and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So the metadata is stored as a JSON column in the MySQL column. So all the templates and experiments and items in the database have this column, which is accessible, like the title, like the date, like everything else. So it's in JSON. Yeah. So yeah, Philippe, for Jupyter Hub. So in fact, we had this discussion with the community about implementing Jupyter Lite, which is basically Jupyter in the browser. So I think it can be a good thing, because there is a lot of security questions that comes with running untrusted code on the server, and also in terms of easiness to deploy. Like not every university has a Jupyter Hub and everything. So I think it can be quite good to look into this Jupyter Lite, so that you can run some Python in the browser, because nowadays everything is JavaScript basically.
Okay, do we have further questions? Yes.
So yeah, many developers does the project app. So basically, I would say 2. And the funding, so I can say, so first, I have a company which has no money issues. And also, this software, eLabFTW, is the software chosen by the CNRS, so the biggest European research organization, which is the major French organization for research funding. So it is the standard for French research. So you can imagine that there is no problem about funding on that aspect.
I think that Nicola answers all the questions in the chat. Feel free to unmute and switch on your camera. It's more interactive, but please go ahead. There's a question from Sandra about the metadata extraction, but feel free to put it live by voice into the discussion.
So yeah, metadata extracted automatically from images. So no, we're working on it. We're working on it. It's a difficult problem. Is it easy to migrate an eLab install from one server to another? Yes. Yeah, no problem. It's just a MySQL database and some uploaded files. It's very easy, very standard, and everything is documented. Once you have defined a structure template, is it possible for the user to add additional structure information on the fly? Yes. I mean, I cannot answer for Marcus, but for me, yes, it's possible. Yeah.
And then Marcus, you can answer as well, or write it in the chat. But I guess this should be possible, because at the beginning you maybe don't know what exactly you need to store or want to store.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Okay, I think we cut this discussion to this